What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Facts and Stats podcast episode. This is now episode 113. Been 4 long months without a podcast episode. Actually, 5 months without a podcast episode. But I will start bringing back weekly podcast episodes. Today, I'm joined by three great individuals. I'll allow them to introduce themselves. Then we're going to go ahead and get started with the episode today.
Hi, I'm Ari, Saints fan, sadly. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. Thanks for joining. Muted.
Yeah. I'm Sosa, the greatest of all time. I'm happy to be here once again.
Yes, sir, my brother.
What's up, everybody? I'm Dmac, DMW Sports. I'm happy to be back. Chiefs fan. Y'all know what it is.
Yes, sir. I appreciate, first and foremost, all three of you all joining and also rocking with the platform over the years. We had a big, surprising trade the other day. We're going to go ahead and get straight into it, where Micah Parsons was traded from the Dallas Cowboys to the Green Bay Packers. Sosa, first and foremost, I do want to ask you, what are your thoughts on this trade that went down the other day?
The Green Bay Packers clearly believe that Micah Parsons is the player that puts them over the top. I mean, that's clearly what you're doing here if you're going to give up multiple first-round picks and then, give them, the biggest contract ever outside of a quarterback, right? That's the only reason you make this move. You think that this guy is the piece that elevates your squad to the top of the food chain or over the hump that you believe that your team might be facing. Full honest take, I don't think it moves the meter that much for Green Bay, in my opinion. I think obviously getting 2 first-rounders, everybody's super high on the fact that Green Bay doesn't pick high. They haven't had a top 10 pick, I believe, in the draft since 2009, which is something that makes the picks look a little bit average because they were first-round picks. But just as far as first takeaway, Micah Parsons is a special talent, but I mean, he's going to have to wreck games if he's making $47 million a year. And, that's something, in my opinion, he hasn't really done as of recent years. So you still get a premier player. He's top 5 at his position easily. And, you hope that that's the guy that takes you over the top. That's really all I got.
Well said. Short, sweet, and simple. All right, what were your original thoughts on the trade, and how do you feel about it for the Cowboys and Packers after the fact?
Yeah, I mean, my initial thoughts were, what the fuck? Very crazy. I expected them to trade him just because of how things were going in terms of like the negotiations for like Micah and Jerry, but now that I've had some time to think about it, like the Packers do still have a pretty weak secondary. I don't think they really have like a standout corner that you can for sure call out, or like a DB that you can for sure call out and be like, yeah, that's the guy that's going to help hold the back end together while, you have Micah trying to do his thing at the front. So for the Packers, I think this helps them get closer than what they were before this trade. I do want to pump the brakes on people that are saying like they're now Super Bowl bound, because I don't necessarily think that's true. I definitely think they have, some just larger issues that they need to figure out in terms of their wide receiver room. As we know, they had like a ton of wide receivers last year and none really like broke out. They drafted Golden in the first round this year. So you'd hope that he becomes like their certified wide receiver 1. They obviously have Josh Jacobs. You hope that he has a year at least somewhere near as productive as he had last year, because then that helps your offense as a whole. They have Tucker Craft, so I think it helps them get close, but they also play in a really tough division. Like, just going through cupcakes is not the NFC South. So, close, yes, but I do think some people need to pump the brakes in terms of thinking that, they've jumped some teams and becoming, the second best team behind Philly.
I do want to say one thing. Wow. All right, thank you for that. DMAC, what's your thoughts on the Micah Parsons trade and also the outlook for the Cowboys and Packers? Sorry.
Yeah, I was shocked to see it. I was somebody that didn't think that it was ultimately going to happen. Micah Parsons is, in my opinion, a top 10 player in the National Football League, point blank period. I do think that highly of him as an edge rusher in this league. I understand why some people would, consider to be a little bit concerned about what the Packers are able to do. I think, the wide receiver core has a bunch of B-level players. I think they went out and got Matthew Golden because they couldn't necessarily rely on Christian Watson for the deep threat ability in that aspect as well. I like Tucker Kraft. I like Jordan Love. The offensive line is good, and this defense was really missing an alpha-level pass rusher, and Micah Parsons takes that and supercharges that to a different level. They could not get after, quarterbacks with Ford last year, and this is a market step up as far as that is concerned. So I was somebody that thought the Packers were borderline contenders before going after Micah Parsons, and this is certainly a push your chips all in to try and get over the top move. And so I think that they are somebody that should be talked about as a favorite to come out of the NFC, in my opinion. As for the Cowboys, I thought that they had defensive holes even before trading away their best defensive player by far. And now they're a team that I think is going to be looking on the outside, looking in, and maybe even finishing last in the NFC East. It maybe seems a little bit of a hot take, but I think that they're going to be the Bengals of a year ago, where they have a really fun offense that's explosive, that, the run game's a little iffy because of the two wide receivers and the quarterback, and the defense is going to be bad. So that's kind of how my lookout changed as far as these two teams are concerned. But Micah Parsons, I know people have some question marks about him as a player. I simply don't. And especially the way that Jeff Hafley is going to deploy him and the rest of this team in the front seven, I'm extremely excited to watch what the Packers have in store.
I like that hot take. Man, I like that hot take. I was a fan of the NFC East from a competitive standpoint, because I do not think the Giants are a terrible team. Post Micah, you say they can probably be the last team in that division. I don't think nobody said that yet. That's the first time I heard that. To be honest, so I like that hot take. Personally, for me, I was 1000% surprised. No, that's a lie. I'm sorry. I figured he was going to get traded. I was saying it throughout the show. Don't forget, Fact and Stats is also a daily sports show Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern time. Pull up sometime. We talk sports as well. Pretty much all sports every day. But yeah, I figured he was going to get traded. I'm the type of guy where things go on for a long time, or where you reach that breaking point, it's hard to come back from it, and they didn't want to pay him what he was looking for, or give him the years on his contract that he was looking for. And he also felt like, well, I'm Micah Parsons, I can go out and get more if need be. So the Packers were aggressive. They got the deal done. Similar to what Sosa was saying, they believe that this is the move that can help get them over the top. Now, obviously, that is a wait and see thing. Similar to some of the things Ari was saying, from a secondary standpoint, they do have Xavier on the backside, so that's the lone bright spot in that room, I would say. But still, from an overall standpoint, I think that defense will be okay, and they have a couple of guys that can probably step up and make some plays when need be. Offensively, for the Packers, my outlook for them, I think they'll be, just as good. I'm trying to see who is going to separate themselves as that next team to be or compete with the Eagles. And I have a crop of guys. I don't have the Lions in a separate tier when it comes to the NFC teams. I have the Rams, the Lions, the Packers, and then maybe the Bucks when I think about a team that's going to enter and try to give the Eagles their best game. So the Packers are right there for me, especially post this trade. And from a Cowboys standpoint, yeah, man, I had them being solid this year, 8-9, 9-8, and now I can't really say that. They have two good wide receivers on the outside, questionable running backs with Javonte, Miles, and Blue. And I don't really see too many bright spots on that defense personally. So, I actually like that hot take, Dmac. I can probably see a 6-11 type of season for the Cowboys now, maybe even 7-10 at worst. And I'll leave it at that. Sosa shaking his head. What you got to say, bro? You mute. I can't hear you. Is it me?
They won what? 7 games last year? 8 games last year?
Yes.
Probably.
With the backup quarterback.
They won 7. They won 7 games last year.
And would the backup quarterback play like the last 10, 11?
Yeah.
1 minute of it, yeah.
Yeah, I just don't believe that they can be that bad. I just don't. I just simply do not. I don't think they can. I don't think that the Cowboys will put it, as long as Dak's healthy, like you have to believe they'll be better than last year. I mean, Micah didn't play every game last year either.
Can I counter with the fact that they were 3-5 with Dak Prescott? Now, Dak wasn't as good as I expect him to be this year. I want to be clear about that. He did not.
And they were 4-5 with
whoever it was.
Yeah, whoever.
I'm thinking of Trey Lance. It's not Trey Lance. Cooper Rush, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that. They would have probably been 1 or 2 games better without Dak Prescott. And if Micah Parsons is so good, where's the games? Which game would you say he helped them win?
In his career in Dallas?
You got it. Last year, any games you just looked at, you're like, damn, he really just wrecked the fuck out of this one.
I wouldn't say last year specifically.
Oh, okay,
no,
not a single one. Not a single one when he played.
That it has to do with other players.
47 M's gets you no winning plays. Yeah, best of luck with that, bro.
No. Throughout his career, he's made plenty of winning plays for the Cowboys.
Oh yeah, when he was a rookie for sure.
Right. That was the last time that they had a competent front seven.
You turn on the rookie tape of Micah Parsons, he looks like an alien. The last 3 years, he looks like he's from Jersey.
I disagree.
But y'all got it. I'm
from Jersey's crazy.
Hey, man.
Dmac's from Jersey, dog.
Y'all got it.
No, I disagree with that. The reason why I say it is I think that there's a combination of how they deployed Micah Parsons specifically during his rookie year that allowed him to be incredibly effective versus the run, and that was allowing him to be the headhunter and create chaos in the backfield because they were actually solid along the other front that they simply weren't the last few years. And so the fact that they don't have a second level of the defense, especially after Overshown got hurt, and the fact that their interior defensive line was completely non-existent. Yeah, I don't think that the issues have been a Micah Parsons thing for the Cowboys defense in that sense. And I think Jeff Hafley, with the front seven talent that they have now put alongside Micah Parsons, he won't have those issues either.
Well, I have no concerns. Trent Williams is his father, so it's cool.
Hopefully your team do well this season, by the way. And we'll get
is that shared
in
custody with Lane Johnson? I'm sorry.
Nah, you're good. You're good.
50-50 for sure.
50-50. It might be 50-50.
We'll hear you talk about 49ers and Trent Williams in a second. I do have another question for you all. Outside of the Cowboys and Packers and the Micah Parsons big trade, I do want to know, what was your favorite move this NFL offseason, or what move would you label as the best move in your opinion, as far as this player going to this team and the impact that he can have on that team?
Ooh, definitely did not look into this. So give me a second while I think. Okay. No, wait, are we talking about just free agency, or is the draft also included?
Free agency trades when I first think about it. Yeah.
Free agency trades. Okay.
I can circle the Dmac.
Yeah.
All right, Dmac, what you got? Well, actually, I'll go. I can't wait. I'll go first. Long-time Raven fan, lifelong Raven fan. And I cannot start it with this. I'm still stunned personally. I can't believe it happened. And I think that getting Jair and adding Jair Alexander in our cornerback room is amazing. I was not going to say DeAndre Hopkins. I'm definitely excited about the Jair Alexander addition. He's now going to he's forming in a room with Marlon Humphreys, Nate Wiggins and Awuzie, and then on the back end we have Kyle Hamilton and Malachi Stark. So Jair, I think he's going to bring that grit, that toughness, that leadership, and that grind that a lot of players have been speaking about that he's been doing so far in training camp. And this is just bolster the Ravens secondary. So I do expect the Ravens to get off to a quicker start from a defensive standpoint this year in comparison to last year. And then also the defense shift when we put Kyle basically as the free safety and roaming. But this year now we don't have to do that. We have Malachi Stark, who can operate in similar ways to Kyle Hamilton, which can allow Kyle to play all over the field where he thrives at, whether that's linebacker, whether that's off the edge, whether that's in the slot, whatever the case may be. Kyle Hamilton does it all. So I'm glad that we got a guy like Malachi Starks, but I think Jair Alexander will make this secondary and just defense in general pretty damn good. So that's my best move this offseason. I think he'll have phenomenal impact on the team. Dmac, what you got for me, brother?
As far as my best move this offseason is concerned, I think you can go a few different places. But the one that stands out to me, and this is a team that I again would also put in the NFC contender tier that I thought made an awesome move, Davante Adams. I think it was a little bit underrated to be able to get, in my opinion, still a top 15, top 20 at worst wide receiver to pair with what they already have at Puka Nacua. The last time that they had a wide receiver that really was a complement to whatever their inside slot power primary guy was of course, Odell and Cooper Kupp. And they went to the Super Bowl as a result of that. Now, there's still going to be question marks as far as Matthew Stafford being healthy and some things as far as the Rams secondary is concerned. But I think that this offense is going to look really dangerous with the combination of Davante Adams and Puka Nacua out there. So for me, that was the move that stood out the most, as far as being able to change what the contender landscape really looked like for the upcoming season.
Well said, my brother. Sosa, and then we're going to close this out with Ari.
I'm going to take a left here, and I'm going to say two guys who aren't even players. Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, I love them both. I love the fact that when you see they enter into new jobs where the situations are a little different. But I just like the way they command like your respect. And I think that Ben Johnson is going to do wonders for Caleb Williams. And I think that Aaron Glenn is going to have success with Justin Fields. Obviously, he's a defensive head coach first. I think the defensive talent on the New York Jets is unquestioned. Whether or not they go out there week to week and execute the game plan is a different story. But if we're talking about talent, the Jets have everything you would want defensively on every level to be good. They just have to put it together on the field. Same goes for the offense in Chicago. Ben Johnson's got a quarterback, an offensive line, and playmakers. If it don't work, he going to have to start blaming somebody. It's either Caleb sucks or the offense is just a joke or it's just a gimmick, which I don't think to be the case. I think both I like both coaches moving on. And I mirror it to Philly losing both their coordinators because both them dudes are ass as head coaches. I think these two dudes are going to actually be good. Gannon and Steichen, I think, get a lot of extra love for accomplishing fucking nothing. But that's just me.
All right, what you got for us?
I mean, Dmac stole the one I was gonna say about Devontae Adams. I think he's a big upgrade over Cooper Kupp. One. And I think that just adds another dimension to their offense, especially if Stafford can stay healthy. But since he stole that one, I'm gonna go in another direction. Another still staying in the NFC. I actually like, and it kind of flew under the radar until I just thought about it. I like the DJ Reed signing by the Lions. I think, when you think about the Lions, especially their defense last year, obviously it was hurt. And outside of that, you thought they were pretty good defense. But if they had an area that they were still kind of weak at, it was the opposite corner. It was the corner opposite of Terrion Arnold, who, again, was still pretty fresh in that position. And so I think you have DJ Reed, veteran corner, can really help bring some stability to that secondary, especially with the loss of Aaron Glenn. You want to try and bring in as many vets, as many people that can kind of help stabilize during a transition period where you're transitioning into a new DC who is still an in-house hire. So I don't expect much in terms of scheme to change, but I do think adding that second corner, having a pretty reliable second corner, in DJ Reed to that secondary, I think, it's really good for them. And I think will only help them, especially when you think about the losses that they had last year. I mean, they didn't have many, but if you think about that game, that playoff game versus the Commanders, like injuries, yes. But like, if you just really think about it all, like their secondary was freaking Swiss cheese. Like they could do nothing. And Terrion, again, was still fresh. He was having to hold down way more than I think they're going to have to. I mean, knock on wood, they don't have as many injuries on their defense as they did last year. But I just think adding like a veteran corner like DJ Reed, who, can, help you lock down that other side of the field, be really competitive, and kind of help, ultimately just kind of like bolster your secondary, I think is going to be really good for them. And I think might not be something that jumps off of the, tape or jumps out at people in the beginning of the season. But, I think ultimately it will at the end, especially because, he's a pretty good coverage corner and stuff like that. And he can also, he's really good at, oh my gosh, breaking up passes. So he also can just be disruptive in general, which I think, adding that kind of edge to that secondary when you do have a front that has Aiden Hutchinson that can kind of cause havoc, for some quarterbacks, depending on who they face, that could cause a real challenge for the other team and be a really big add for Detroit.
Fair. I like that. I like your response. I like DMAC response. I personally love Sosa's response. He didn't even take it to a player. He took it to coaches. That's different. I like that. Next, I do want to say, before we start to talk about our own individual teams, I do want to get into scanning around the league a little more. So with that being said, I'm going to ask you all actually this question coming up, or these questions. What are one team you think that would make a leap this season, and then also would take a step back in comparison to who they were and what they did last season? That can be level of play, performance, record, however you want to answer the question. I will start this one off again, and then I will have you all start off the remaining questions that I have for you all before we get up out of here today. First and foremost, one team expected to take a jump this season for me. right from Sosa, the Chicago Bears. I mean, it's easily for me. I love how they did all the improvements that they needed to do throughout the draft, throughout free agency, and then also on top of that, getting probably what many viewed as a really great offensive mind in Ben Johnson, and now he's stepping out the head coaching role. And just the Chicago Bears defense always been intact, and they even made moves over the years on that side of the ball as well. So they were 5-12 last year. I am definitely expecting them to win 8 to 9 games, if not probably more. So that's a team that I expect to take a jump this season. Now, this team that I have taken a step back, I still do think they will be a good to / great team. I also think the quarterback will be better than what he was last year. But unfortunately, I just do not see that team winning 15 games again. I see Dmac smiling already. And that is the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't think the Chiefs will go 15-2, and I think the Chiefs will have a small step back. And I'm not like the rest of the people that I've been speaking or hearing or speaking with or hearing talk sports this summer, where they basically saying they have the Broncos winning that division. I will still have the Chiefs win that division, but I do think the Chiefs will take a small step back this year in comparison to who they were last season and also throughout over the years as well. So that's my response. Dmac, I am curious to hear your answer to this question. One team expected to make a jump, and also one team expected to take a small step back.
I just smiling because I saw it coming, but I don't have any issues. We're not going to win 15 games again, in my personal opinion. But if we do, I'll be happy. As far as the team that I expect to take a step up, I think the New England Patriots would be a good candidate for this. And I will be honest, I also have the Bears on my list. But getting Mike Vrabel to come in and be a guy that's had success in Tennessee as a head coach, that he's going to bring a culture with him. I think Drake May is an incredibly talented quarterback. The fact that now he's got his feet wet earlier and be able to adjust accordingly. The fact that they brought in Stephon Diggs, I like the Kyle Williams pick as well to try and round out the offensive talent as well. Will Campbell, again, trying to secure what was a terrible offensive line last year, was another big piece of it too. And the defensive talent, I think, has gotten better. They obviously get it's Christian Barmore back, had a little bit of issues as far as his blood clots are concerned, add to the pass rush. I like what the New England Patriots are putting together, and Mike Vrabel, in my opinion, is a coach that you can trust to come in and have a competent team. So I actually got them winning 10 games this upcoming season, so certainly a jump from where they were picking in the top 5 last year.
Ari, what you got for me?
I was also going to say the Patriots. Wow, how wonderful that is. But I will say I will pivot to my next choice, which is the Denver Broncos. I can't remember how many games they won last year, but I'm thinking about that Denver Broncos defense that, for, I would say, like the past 2 or 3 years has been pretty solid. But then they add Dre Greenwell, they add Talanoa Hufanga, they drafted RJ Harvey, they signed Evan Ingram. I think they're adding depth to positions that are going to really help them. They just made in my opinion, they just made their defense even better. Which, if you look at the AFC, you really want a really, 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 really good defense. Funny. You want a really, really good defense. I think the question marks are always going to rely on Bo Nix. Like, does Bo have the season that he had last year? Is he able to, I guess, continue on with the momentum that he had last year? And I don't necessarily think so from a passing perspective. However, I think when you look at the run game that they had last year, it was pretty non-existent. I think RJ Harvey very soon, especially in the signing of J.K. Dobbins, I think that tandem of kind of like RJ Harvey, J.K. Dobbins is going to take some pressure off of Bo. I don't think they're going to be having him throw as much. I think they will have, I don't know how reliable. Well, I think it's going to be reliable. I don't know how explosive their run game is going to be, but I do think it can be a solid run game that they can rely on throughout the season, which to me, only helps. Adding that to their coupling that with their defensive additions. Lord Jesus, I can't talk today. I think ultimately they take, a step up. This don't mean I'm gonna say Ev said he got the Chiefs taking a step back. I don't. That's not me. I don't have them losing the division. I don't think this means the Broncos win the division. I just think they end up being a better team. And then as far as my team that I think taking the step back, to me, it's Seattle. Seattle, they went up and then they kind of went down last year. I just don't believe, plain and simple, I just don't believe in Sam Darnold. As much as I love K9, as much as I love Charbonnet, there's a curse on Seattle running backs, and they cannot stay healthy for a full season. And this isn't me wishing injury on people. This is me just saying history shown for the past 3 or 4 years, they just don't have running backs they can stay consistently healthy through for the entirety of the year. I think when you really look at that O-line, it leaves a lot to be desired. And we already know, I mean, as we saw, the Rams put it on pretty great display. The moment Sam Darnold feels any sort of pressure, feels any sort of hurry up, it's game over. Now, granted, I still do love JSN. I actually do like that they paired him with Cooper Kupp or paired Cooper Kupp with him. And I do like their tight ends. I just ultimately I think, I think we could see a lot of what we saw last year with Seattle. They start out pretty good, and then you just start seeing the deficiencies throughout their offense. And you just start seeing Sam Darnold. People start to figure Sam Darnold out again and again. And teams start to, design pressure and, just dial up pressure against him in more games and more games. And then he just gets shook. And ultimately, I think in the division that they play in, truthfully in the conference that they play, because I think the NFC has some really good pass rushers. I just ultimately don't know if that O-line is going to be able to stand up the way that it needs to for Sam to be able to do what he needs to. And also Clint Kubiak. Clint Kubiak is their offensive coordinator, and he was with my team last year, and that motherfucker is predictable as hell. So I think, I don't believe in it. I want them to be good. I don't think they will right now.
Okay, fair. Good response from Dmac and Ari. Sosa, I am definitely curious to hear what you have for this question.
I got two teams that I think are going to take a step back, and one of them is one Ari likes. I think Denver takes a step back. I would love for people to actually look at Bo Nix's performance and the teams he performed well against last year before we start to the defense was all world. Here's the craziest part. They blitzed more than any team in football. They took more chances than any team in football because they knew that their rush would get home. And they obviously have the best corner in football as well. So that, he gives them an advantage just in the box on every play because he can literally take somebody out of the game, which helps really make their defense effective. Bo Nix had 29 touchdowns last year. He had 16 of them against the Chiefs with nobody in the last week of the season. We threw 4. He threw 3 against Carolina. He threw 2 each time he saw the Raiders. That's more than 50% of his offensive scoring against literally the dead back end of the NFL. So I love Sean Payton. They had variance on their side last year. And if anything tells you how good they actually were, what happened in the playoff game? They went to Buffalo and got bent over. So I don't know. The defense looked great until they got to the playoffs and literally had the worst game of their season. Because you can't just blitz every single play against Josh Allen, and you just can't do that. It's not going to work. As far as another second team, I think takes a step back, the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings last year in games that were decided by 6 points or less were 8-1. In games that were decided by 3 points or less, they were 5-0. I don't think people understand how outrageously lucky that is. They're also the only team in the NFL that got a turnover in every single game. And they changed their quarterback. I love Kevin O'Connell, and I know everybody loves the whole plug and play. Any quarterback can be successful in the system. I'd say different because as much as we love Kevin O'Connell, Kirk Cousins' best years came on the back of Dalvin Cook. But somehow the internet forgets that and lies like a motherfucker every time they can. He had 45 touchdowns in 4 seasons under Kevin O'Connell. As soon as he left, Kirk Cousins fell apart. But I'm just the messenger. Kevin O'Connell's a great play designer. I think he's a great offensive mind. Again, Dalvin Cook should get a lot of credit for the early years there, and he doesn't. And again, I like J.J. McCarthy, has no NFL experience as a starter. When he starts seeing exotic looks and has to make every decision at the line of scrimmage, I think he's in for trouble. And as far as a team that I think will ascend this year, I'm not going to lie. I like the Arizona Cardinals. I think the Arizona Cardinals defense should be better. I do hate on Gannon because he hasn't done shit outside of shit the bed in a Super Bowl. I think they've made great improvements across the line. They obviously added to their defensive line. They added to their defensive back room. I think Will Johnson was an absolute steal based on, where he got drafted. He probably was a top 15 player in the NFL draft had he not had injury. I think him falling to them was huge. I like the guys they have on offense as well. I think Benson is going to be much better this year. I think he understands pass pro a lot better. Everybody sleeps on Connor, but he just does nothing but perform well. And I think also Kyler Murray's in a situation where he has to perform or he's not going to be there next year. I really believe that because I think they'll try to shop him, especially if they're bad. There's no way Kyler Murray is back there next year if he's bad. If he plays well, they'll give him another 4 or 5 year extension, and they'll probably get him cheaper than Dak if we're being honest. Yeah. So that's those are the three teams. I hate to say Arizona because they're in our division, but I think Marvin Harrison's going to make a lot of y'all a believer this year.
I like that.
I'm telling you, he's frustrated and upset. And one thing I will also give Marvin Harrison, he didn't throw his quarterback under the bus one time. And I mean, he got asked about 8 million times in the offseason about how the quarterback couldn't find him on deep throws. I mean, he had the worst rating in the NFL on deep throws to Marvin Harrison. I mean, it's just inaccurate as hell. And Marvin Harrison could have literally said, well, I did my job. But he just simply is such a humble dude because George Pickens would have been like, man, fuck Russ. That motherfucker was he was just throwing some bullshit. I'm just saying, some people are just different. Marv went out there, had 8 touchdowns, still played relatively well. And again, to have the most inaccurate targets to you, that will be better. And I think that Arizona will ascend a little bit. Also, the last thing about them, they're both him and Steichen coaching for their lives. They better pull out every single stop because they do not have another year on the books right now. They either perform well or they're completely fucked.
I'd also like to agree quickly with the Vikings take a step back because I didn't say a team to take a step back. The other team I have taken a step back is the Commanders. I think the signing of the retirement home is nice in theory. If Dan Snyder was still the owner of the football team, they'd be talking about Albert Haynesworth and this being just that 2.0 with Larry Tunsil. I think that there are some things with the new shiny toy that people are getting fooled by. The Commanders' trenches are still bad on the defensive side of the ball. They still have holes on the interior of the offensive line. I think their secondary is still a mess as well. Lattimore does not look like the same cornerback. So I have issues with that team. I think that they got very lucky throughout the entirety of the season as far as their one-score game record was concerned. The Hail Mary versus the Bears alone had no chance in hell of happening, and it happened for them. So that would be my answer. I know people are incredibly hyped about them trying to push their chips in. I think Jane Daniels is legit. This doesn't have anything to do with him. But I do think that they will be taking a step back this year.
You mean to tell me you didn't have them winning the game when they were down 14 and Jalen Hurts and CJ Gardner-Johnson got hurt on drives? Like, you didn't think they would win that game?
I thought Kenny Pickett was going to be able to finish the game.
You guys didn't think that I thought Washington was – as soon as I was like, they're down 2 touchdowns, they're definitely going to win. But that's how fucking dumb these Commanders fans sound on the internet. You know how lucky the luckiest team in football last year with them in Minnesota.
We'll see what they do this year. I do like everybody's response to the questions. I got 2 more questions before we get up out of here today. Again, thank you all for joining. And also, if you watch this episode and you're this far into the episode, do not forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I appreciate all the support. And do not forget, Fact and Stats is also a daily sports show Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time on the Fact and Stats YouTube and also on my personal Twitch page. Now, I got 2 more questions, y'all. This next question, you're only going to have 60 seconds to answer. And then we're going to do AFC NFC Championship preview and pick our Super Bowl winners. This next question, you're only going to have 60 seconds to answer. Okay? 1 to 2 minutes, actually. 1 to 2 minutes to answer. And then that is it. Sosa, I'm going to go directly to you. I want you to give us your thoughts on your team this upcoming season, expectations, things to look out for, whatever you want to say about the San Francisco 49ers in 2 minutes. Go.
All right. The 49ers love the first round draft pick, Micah Williams. I told everybody we were going to draft him, so it feels even better that I was right. Brandon Ayuk, his injury is definitely big. Obviously, not having a true X receiver and the number 1 target on the team, who should be the star of the team, highest paid receiver on the team, not having him is tough. I do love the fact that we signed Brock Purdy long term. I'm not a super fan of Brock Purdy. However, his performance when players went out, when he had to go through the ringer last year. I think he proved that he is the franchise quarterback. Everybody's high on Ricky Pearsall. White boy Rick was a snitch, so I'm not sold on him at all in any form or fashion. The best signing for us in the offseason was Robert Saleh coming back. He brings back the grit and the system that Shanahan wants on the defensive side of the ball, kind of like the issues that they were saying after we lost the Super Bowl to Kansas City, because Kyle Shanahan needed somebody to scapegoat in Steve Wilks. At least he gets Robert Saleh back, so when we lose the Super Bowl to Patrick Mahomes again, he'll have someone new to blame. Other than that, I expect for us to go 17-0 and so that's what I start with every year before the season starts, because I have no reason to think differently. When the 49ers have been healthy the last 5 years, we've gotten to the Super Bowl. We just haven't won one. So there's no reason for me to doubt that this year. Long as Fred Warner is good to go, and as long as my defensive line rotation is good, I think we have a chance every week. We're going to be favored in all but like 3 games this season. So that's really all I got. I think, again, look forward to a good season. I look forward to Robert Saleh having that defense humming, and I look forward to Kyle Shanahan do what he always done, which is make gold out of dog shit no matter who the quarterback is. He's done it his entire career. McCaffrey is good, and the quarterback is competent. Sign me up for 10, 11 wins without question. That's all I got.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. I'm going to go over to Ari, and I'm starting your 2 minutes now.
Thank you, because you know I can rap. Okay. Just keep it. There's not a lot to be looking forward to when it comes to the Saints. I got to watch 2 possibly future Saints yesterday, and Caleb Downs and TJ Parker. Might be my new safety, might be my new edge rusher. Coming soon, stay tuned. But no bullshit. On the positive, I'm not looking really, I don't expect us as a team to do much. However, I am a fan of the first round draft pick in Kelvin Banks. From what we saw in preseason with him, he was able to hold up pretty well. He made some in-game adjustments, game by game. And so I'm really happy to see that we don't have a rotating door at left tackle anymore. We were able to move Fuaga back to right tackle, which was his position that he played in college. So I'm really happy with our 2 young tackles at that point. We have Eric McCoy kind of holding it down at center. My issue will forever be our 2 guards. I don't like Cesar Ruiz or Trevor Penning. I don't know which one I dislike more. However, I think Trevor Penning is for a short time, not a long time, because there's a, young guy, Torricelli Simpkins, the third, who y'all might see get some more play this season at left guard. He really popped during preseason. He seems to be able to have to be a really good pass blocker and be okay, and blocking and creating lanes for the run. Again, to the running game, Kendre friggin' Miller. If Kendre Miller stays healthy, I expect Kendre Miller to have a solid season. What he showed in the playoffs, in the preseason, was that he can run into contact. He has pretty good balance. He doesn't get knocked over he doesn't give up on the run really easy. He's obviously not the super shifty guy, but that's what we have Alvin for. But he seemed to be like, possibly to show us that he could be a good partner to Alvin. He just has to stay healthy. Health is his biggest question. Looking forward to see if Chris Olave stamps himself as a 1 this year, or gets close to it, because he doesn't really have good anything throwing him the ball. On the defensive end, looking forward to Brian Brzee, seeing how he is. If he continues to develop in his young career, can he be someone that we can kind of, stamp as a foundational piece of our D-line moving forward? That's all the good. What I'm not looking forward to is just, I don't think our offense is going to be good. I actually think from what I saw, Brandon Staley was able to do some really good things, or some really interesting things with our defense. I think our defense is going to play pretty fast this year. I would love for us to be able to get to the quarterback. That would be a really good thing to see if we can do that. I know we re-signed Chase Young. I got questions on that, but it'll be interesting to see in this Staley defense if he can, grow and pop and show something and show me why he was re-signed again. However, like I said, TJ Parker, I got my eye on you. But offensively, I think I don't have very high hopes, quite frankly. For the unit as a whole, I don't really have high hopes for Spencer Rattler or Tyler Shuck, quite frankly. I heard some news about Tyler Shuck that made me that made me laugh, and also made me realize that they're running an okie doke in the front office, and trying to get a certain quarterback that may be coming out with the last name that has played in New Orleans, in history. But yeah, I don't have very many high hopes for the offense. We're old, so hopefully after the season we get younger, and that the young pieces that we have really kind of, at least solidify themselves to being solid guys. I don't expect anyone to be, a superstar to have a superstar season this year. If they do, great. But, I would love for our tackles to solidify themselves. Love to see what Chris can do. Can Kendre Miller stay healthy? Big question mark. And, Brian Brzee, what can you show me? But yeah, that's it.
First, I want to say you and Sosa are terrible. If y'all had 2 minutes to answer a question, y'all cannot do it. But
you should cut me off then. I was like, he ain't cut me off, so I'm cool.
I'm not cutting y'all off.
You asked us to talk about our team, bro.
No, I know.
If I asked you to talk about Baltimore, we'd be here till 3 p.m.
Hey, you damn right.
Exactly.
You damn right. But listen, hopefully me and Dmac do follow suit with the 2 minutes. Will said about the Saints, you made the best out of nothing. And then Will said about the 49ers as well. Dmac, I am off to you, my brother. I'm starting your 2-minute timer now. Let the world know who your team is and what's your thoughts and expectations.
You want to go to the long-winded guy supposed to watch the clock? All right, I wish you best of luck. Shout out to Ari with the Torricelli Simpkins thing. I did not realize that he was playing well. I have to go back and watch some of that tape for my Kendre Miller dynasty stashes. I am excited. I'm a Chiefs fan. Obviously, we are living in our golden era. In many ways, happy to see that we have a left tackle. Josh Simmons is getting fitted for his gold jacket as we speak. The fact that Patrick Mahomes is not going to be running for his life is a nice thing, hopefully. Obviously, the ability to have a wide receiver core, that would also be nice, given the fact that we lost Rashee Rice and Hollywood Brown for most of last year, even though Rashee Rice is obviously going to miss the first 6 weeks of the season. We're going to hopefully have an explosive offense, and we'll see if that ends up coming to pass. I think Kingsley's been playing fine at left guard. The rest of the offensive line isn't necessarily a concern. Isaiah Pacheco being back healthy is also a sneaky aspect of our offense. Defensively, the secondary pass rush outside of Chris Jones is going to be my major concern. We signed Jerry Tillery. We drafted Omar Norman-Lott. We drafted a few other guys. Got Charles Omenihu back. Obviously gave George Karlaftis a big deal. If those guys can rush the passer and help out Chris Jones, then I think our defense is going to be in a good spot. Chris Jones continues to be an awesome defensive player in the National Football League as well. Linebacker core looks good. Cornerback room, adding Christian Fulton hopefully allows us to be a little bit more versatile with how we use Trent McDuffie and being able to create those mismatches. I think we far too often had to waste him on the outside because we didn't have anybody to play out there when we can really create some havoc with him in the nickel. And then our safety room feels good. Jaden Hicks is a breakout star. I'm looking forward to it. And yes, Sosa's favorite player, Mr. Travis Kelce, does look nice and slim as a brand new fiance, and he's about to go out there and wreck some people while Rashee Rice is out. So I'm looking forward to the Kansas City Chiefs season coming up this year.
Perfect. I mean, you got to 1 minute and 52 seconds. Well said.
I'm good. Don't worry about
it. You even shouted out Ari, I think, in the beginning of your 2 minutes. So that was perfect. Dmac, thank you.
I just want to shout out. Ev put 3 long-winded people on a podcast and gave us each 2 minutes to speak about our teams.
Yeah, I try to be considerate. Somebody on this podcast had to go soon, so I try to work around a little. You know what I'm saying? I try to do it like that. But either way, let me step up to the plate. Y'all see Everett Jr., Mr. Facts and Stats. Y'all see right there behind me, Lamar Jackson. I'm a lifelong Ravens fan, 20 plus years, and we have a lot to look forward to this season. Short, sweet, and simple. Super Bowl or bust. Like, we should win the Super Bowl this year. I think we should be the favorites, and I think it's actually going to happen as long as we have our main guys are on the football field. Our best pass catcher last season, unfortunately, was unable to play in the Buffalo game. Still should have won that game. Shout out to Mark Andrews. I'm finally over. Well, I'm not over it yet. I'll probably over when you get a touchdown week 1. To be honest, I'm not over it yet. I'll be over it soon, Mark Andrews. Isaiah Likely, just a future stud. Extension is on the way for him. Nate Wiggins, future stud. Extension is going to be on the way for him soon as well. Kyle Hamilton, highest paid safety, well deserved. This is really a lot to look forward to. Derrick Henry read up. Lamar Jackson extension coming soon as well. Roquan Smith, I need you to bounce back this year. Mike Green up front. Malachi on the back end. It's so much. DeAndre Hopkins as a wide receiver 3. Not really expecting much out of him this season, but it's a difference when we brought in Odell and how we viewed Odell for our offense in comparison to how we brought in DeAndre Hopkins and what we'll utilize DeAndre Hopkins for. Rashad Bateman, I'm expecting another good season again. I think he had 8 touchdowns, I want to say, last year with 700 yards. He will either replicate that or do more. I do think he will have more receiving yards this year personally. With our balanced attack, I know Derrick Henry is probably not going to rush for 1,900 yards again. But Lamar Jackson, I mean, it's hard for anyone to watch football over the last 2 years and say this is not the best quarterback. I think personally he's the best quarterback in the NFL. Is he probably the most clutch? No, he's clutch too. Honestly, it's nothing bad that I can say about Lamar Jackson. Honestly, and I think we'll get it done this year. It's a blessing to be a Ravens fan. Y'all heard it here first. The Ravens will be Super Bowl champs, and that's actually going to take me to the last thing. I made my 2-minute mark. That's going to take me to the last thing to cap off this podcast episode. The Ravens will be Super Bowl champs this year, and my AFC Championship game preview will be the Ravens versus the Chiefs, and you'll see Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes running it back from 2 seasons ago. I don't care where it is, if it's in the bank, if it's in Arrowhead, Lamar Jackson will then advance to the Super Bowl. And then in the NFC Championship game, I have the Eagles versus the Rams. It's something about the Rams this year, as long as Matthew Stafford is healthy. It's something about the Rams this year that I just like. I think their defense will be even better this year. And then I think Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua on the outside will be fine as well. So I'm going with the Eagles and Rams. And then I have the Eagles probably making a Super Bowl game again, but the Ravens defeat them this year. Sosa is making faces, so I am curious to hear Sosa's thoughts. Who is your AFC and NFC Championship preview, and then your Super Bowl winner as well? We can't. Oh, go ahead.
First and foremost, bruh, it's going to be the Eagles and 49ers in the NFC Championship. All right?
Okay.
And in the AFC Championship, it's going to be the Bills and the Ravens. And I got the Bills going to the Super Bowl this year. I got the Buffalo Bills as my AFC representative. I have deeper, darker reasoning as to why it's going to happen, which I can't really say on stream. I can't say the real reason why, but I will give a couple of little factors. It's their last year in that stadium. They were damn close last year. Jim Kelly ain't looking too great.
Haley Steinfeld.
The NFL got a lot of reasons to want to, and I'm just being honest. It's not a shot at Jim Kelly, but he's had health issues. I'm not taking. Ari was like, "What the fuck is this guy saying?" I'm not saying it like it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's like it's a perfect opportunity for the NFL to honor a franchise that was much maligned. Everybody remembers them for losing 4 consecutive Super Bowls more than anything else, and I just think that if not now, then when? That's my take on it. I think it'll be Bills and 49ers in the Super Bowl. I think the 49ers are going to win it. I'm never going to pick Josh Allen, and I'm never going to give a preseason pick of any other fucking team winning the Super Bowl but the 49ers. So no one should even ask me this question, to be totally honest with you, because I'm always going to tell you the 49ers are going to win the Super Bowl. You can't say anything either. Ev, you just picked your fucking team to win it.
Yeah, but we have a real shot. I don't think you guys have a real shot to make the Super Bowl or win it. So we'll see.
I'd personally like to disagree.
Ray Lewis must be coming out the tunnel or something, huh?
Okay.
I remember the Bills for O.J. Simpson and losing 4 straight times to Mahomes in the playoffs. That's just me. What I remember the Bills for.
That's what you remember O.J. for?
Well, yeah, of course. Awesome running back.
Yo, Sosa's wildin', dog. Yo, Dmac, answer the question, bro. We gotta get up out of here. I just realized what he said, yo. What you got, Dmac?
As far as the NFC side, I got Eagles, and I do have the Packers. I will say this: if Matthew Stafford is healthy for the Rams, I do think that they will make an appearance in the NFC Championship game as well. I just can't say that that's going to happen because the back injury at 36 is scary. I do have the Packers winning that game, though. And I again, this is going to feel like recency bias, but I did say I felt like this team was on the cusp even before the Micah Parsons trade, and I think this will be something that can put them over the top. As for the AFC, I will have a little bit of a surprise pick. I think that it'll be the Texans and the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. I think the Texans have a defense that will end up throwing the type of game plan out there that will, either take out the Bills or Ravens in a surprise divisional matchup, and they will end up getting there and losing the Arrowhead Invitational. But shout out to the Houston Texans for a good season if they end up making there. And of course, I do have the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl. So
I like that pick. The Texans. Yeah, man. Okay. I like that. You about to say something, Sosa?
Listen, I'm a CJ Stroud guy, so I love that. I'm a Lamar guy.
It only took you a year
I'm
to
not
get
mad
on
at
the
either one.
bandwagon.
Like, I'm not mad at either one.
Oh, okay. Last but not least, Ari, what you got for us?
This was a little. So I was trying to decide: do I want to be different, or do I want to stick with like logic? And I'm gonna, this is like I'm gonna consider this like my way too early, as in don't ever bring this up to me again unless I'm right. Pick. But the NFC, that's gonna go pretty chalk to me. I actually think it's going to be my NFC Championship game pick from last year, which is Eagles Lions. I'm sorry. I just think that's gonna be. I would do Rams, however, Matthew Stafford's back severely concerns me, like in very serious ways, because it's not just like you shoot him up once with the steroid shot and then like he's good. That's going to be something that bothers him every single week, and the more he gets hit, the worse it's going to get. And that is just something you have to monitor really, really closely, because like all it takes is one bad hit and he could potentially be paralyzed. So like I think that's going to take him, that's just too much of a variable for me right now for me to really throw my support behind the Rams the way that I think, I want to. I like their roster. I like their defense. I really like their front. Obviously, I like, the addition of Devontae. I love Puka Nacua. But just Stafford's health is just keeping me from really going fully in with the Rams. So I have the Lions and the Eagles. On the AFC side, it gets a little fun for me. I am going to go Bills, Bengals, and I'm gonna leave it there. I don't like the Bengals defense. I don't. It's kind of trash. However, I think I had a player. I'm gonna say it like this: my greatest quarterback of all time, Drew Brees. I saw him make shit shake with a shitty ass defense. And sometimes when you just that nigga, like I think, or that wigger, like I think Joe Burrow, and Jamar Chase, you re-signed T. I think Chase Brown is a solid running back. You got Mike Gesicki, who I don't actually think played terrible for them. I think, I think they eventually get it done. But remember, I said, don't bring this shit back up to me unless I'm right. Well, the AFC shit. The NFC shit you can bring up to me. Don't bring this AFC shit up to me again. That was my just like, what would I like to see? Shit. NFC was like what I actually think could legitimately happen. So let's put that in that context. Dmac, I don't want to hear this during the show. That's on Twitch every day, by the way, Monday to Friday. I don't want to hear this be brought back up. Just letting y'all know that this is my hot take. It's probably wrong, but this is my hot take.
So who's winning these games? Who's the Super Bowl?
The Eagles, nigga. The hell?
Oh, the Eagles. Okay, I'm still stunned by the Bengals thing. Okay, my bad. I'm over here debating if I should.
I'll say Eagles.
I'm debating if I should clip that and leave out the
who
context. Like, I think I want to clip that, leave out the context. I hear the context, but I don't think the people need to hear it though. I think that's to make it good.
No, why would you do that? Yeah.
Listen,
do it. I'm gonna be on the show every week, right? I'm gonna just say it again.
Okay. Listen,
until it gets included. That's all. I'm just saying you could try. but I'm gonna make a way to
I,
throw that in there.
I
I do
want
have
to
a real
say,
pick though.
oh, what's the
Mine
real
was
one if you
just
want to
mine.
add that?
My for real pick is the I think it's gonna be Ravens Bills.
Ravens
First.
Bills.
I feel like it's
Okay.
about time. As much as like you'll probably hear me through the season be like the Chiefs are just fucking inevitable because I do think they are to an extent. But I think the way that Sosa was talking about Gannon and Steichen, Sean McDermott is on the hot seat. And I think I think as many people want to say no, oh no, oh no, oh no, no, no. There becomes a point you can only reconfigure shit so many times before something has to change.
You
And I
cannot
think
fire. You cannot fire a coach entering a new stadium. That is like
you don't.
that
You
would-
shouldn't. You
that would
shouldn't.
really
Does
that would
it mean
really
that
fuck
you
things
won't?
up.
So we outlined their history, right? Like you said, Jim Kelly not looking good. They didn't lost 4 Super Bowls back to back to back. You know, they've had like if you look at them realistically, they've probably had really good chances these probably like 2 or 3 years to get there, and some shit, Patrick Mahomes, happens all the time. And it's just kind of like you either gonna beat the boogeyman or you're not. And I think that is the thing for both the Ravens and the Chiefs. I mean, the Ravens and the Bills. So I feel
And the
like, okay,
49ers.
if not,
I wasn't going to say it, Sosa, but
I
I'm glad
feel
you did.
like, you know, if not now, then when? Josh got an MVP. Lamar got hella MVPs. He's the favorite to win the MVP again this year. Like, come on. Like, when is it going to happen? Because if it don't happen this year, I'm telling you right now, that shit ain't going to ever happen.
No, he's 28. Don't do that. I disagree.
If
I
let
mean,
me say, as long what's Pat's middle name? Levon. As long as Patrick Levon Mahomes the third
yeah, y'all in for a rude awakening this year,
or
and
Junior,
y'all,
whatever
y'all
the
not
fuck
gonna
is,
like
if
y'all not gonna
he
like
is,
Baltimore
as long
fans
as he's
this
the
year.
quarterback of the Chiefs,
I
it
just
won't
know
happen
it.
if it don't happen this year. I'm sorry.
Okay. Y'all gonna hate me this year because I promise you the Ravens are going to the Super Bowl this year if healthy.
Ev has been
I
saying this for the
promise
past 2
you.
years, by
I
the way.
would like you to.
And I'm
I
gonna
would
make
love
another
a
promise.
Ravens
I promise,
Eagles
Rasheed
Super
Rice or
Bowl.
not,
That would
I
be the
promise
craziest Super Bowl
they're
ever.
going to
But I
beat the
would love
Chiefs
that.
week 4.
Listen,
I
all
promise you they're going to beat the Chiefs week
I mean,
4.
that may be possible.
all I have to add to this is as soon
Rasheed
as you're
Rice
done
won't participate in
recording,
the playoffs, though.
as soon as you're done recording, I will explain to you all why the Bills are going to make the Super Bowl. I've already explained it to Dmac, but I can't say it on camera.
Okay. With that being said, our
Real quick
Dmac and
before you
Sosa-
go, I'm sorry to interrupt you. The Cowboys are completely unserious. You wanted to give a guy on the defense the extension right before the season, and you gave it to Deron Bland instead of Micah Parsons. Okay, sure. All right, Jerry.
Yeah, I do want to say though, 4 year 92. Congrats, Deron. We'll see if he's worth that.
Deron probably lets them call him boy.
Oh, okay.
Dog, yo, shout out to the Cowboy. I mean, shout out to Deron Bland, life changing money. All pro a couple of years ago, now getting a contract now, and it's questionable when you trade Micah Parsons for money purposes, then turn around and then extend Bland.
You think Jerry will pronounce his name right at the press conference?
So we'll see what happens. Listen, everybody that came through today,
I'm calling Darren.
I'm thinking I'm hosting this show. Everybody that watched this episode today, thank y'all so much. Do not forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Also, tap into the Fact and Stats Daily Sports Show Monday through Friday, and weekly podcast episodes will definitely be returning for sure throughout this NFL season, and also NBA season, and college football and college basketball season that's going on now as well. So thank y'all so much for all the support. Peace, blessings, and love.